When the clock hit midnight, everyone screamed with joy. I sat in silence, realizing I didn't belong anywhere anymore. The room was dark, except for the blue glow of my phone. Outside, fireworks exploded in colors bright enough to light up the sky. Inside, everything felt heavy, quiet, empty. I watched the countdown alone. 10, 9, 8. Every number felt like a reminder another year gone, another chance wasted. My phone buzzed nonstop. Photos, videos, laughing faces, friends hugging, couples kissing as confetti fell around them, everyone shouting, "Happy New Year," as if happiness were automatic. I stared at the screen and wondered how I ended up here. At midnight, the noise outside reached its peak. Fireworks cracked the sky open. Music thumped through the walls from the neighbor's party. Somewhere, people were making promises they wouldn't keep. I whispered Happy New Year to no one. I wasn't alone because I had no one. I was alone because I didn't know how to show up anymore. For months, I had been pretending everything was fine, smiling when asked, nodding when it hurt, saying I'm okay even when I wasn't. Tonight, the lie finally caught up to me. The year changed, but nothing inside me did. As the last firework faded, I realized something painful and honest. Everyone was celebrating the new year, except me. And in that silence, a truth I had been avoiding quietly waited for me to face it. Morning came, but the celebration didn't end. My phone was still alive with its stories, posts, smiling faces from the night I didn't exist in, champagne glasses raised, group selfies, captions that said best night ever and starting the year right. I scrolled quietly, careful not to like anything. Liking felt like lying. There it was again, that empty space in every photo. The space where I used to stand. I remembered when I was always invited. When people noticed if I didn't show up. When my absence meant something. Somewhere along the way, I became the friend who disappeared without explanation. Not because I wanted to. Because it felt easier than explaining why I was falling apart. The truth was, I had turned down invitations for months. Next time I'd say, I'm tired. Maybe later. Eventually, the invites stopped. That's how it happens, not all at once, but quietly. One missed call becomes silence. One unanswered message becomes distance. I replayed last night in my head. I could almost hear the laughter, feel the music, see the countdown I watched through a screen instead of from inside the room. I wondered if anyone noticed my name missing, or if the party felt complete without me. What hurt the most wasn't being alone. It was realizing how easy it was for the world to keep moving without me. I set my phone down and stared at the ceiling. No noise, no confetti, no cheers. Just a heavy thought settling in. Maybe I didn't miss the party. Maybe the party moved on without me. And for the first time, I asked myself a question I'd been avoiding for years. How long had I been slowly disappearing? There was a reason I stayed home that night. A reason no one saw in my smile or heard in my voice. I carried a secret into the new year, one that didn't explode all at once, but slowly hollowed me out from the inside. It wasn't something dramatic people whisper about. It was quieter than that, heavier. For a long time, I told myself it wasn't that bad, that everyone struggles, that I was just being weak. So I kept going. I showed up. I laughed at the right moments. I answered I'm fine without thinking. But every time the house went quiet, the truth got louder. I was drowning in something I couldn't name: exhaustion, sadness, fear. Maybe all of it. Maybe more. Some nights, I lay awake replaying conversations that never happened. Apologies I never received. Words I never said because I didn't want to be a burden. I convinced myself silence was kindness. By December, pretending took more energy than honesty. That night, as fireworks marked a new beginning for everyone else, I sat with a truth I could no longer ignore. I wasn't just lonely, I was broken. And the scariest part wasn't the pain, it was how normal it had become. How easily I had learned to live without joy, without connection, without hope. I realized then that the secret wasn't something outside of me. It was me disappearing. I had been fading quietly, year after year, while telling the world I was okay. When the clock passed midnight, I didn't make a resolution. I made a confession, one only I could hear. Something inside me was wrong. And if this year was going to be different, I couldn't keep pretending it wasn't. The fireworks were over. The noise faded. The world moved on. My phone showed 12:01 a.m. 1 minute into the new year, and suddenly, Everything felt different. Not lighter, not better, just clear. I realized something I had been avoiding all night. If nothing changed, this year would look exactly like the last one. The same silence, the same pretending, the same empty answers when people asked how I was doing. I sat there, staring at the clock, feeling the weight of a choice I didn't know I was allowed to make. No one was coming to save me. No perfect moment was waiting ahead. The new year wasn't magic. Change had to start with me. For the first time, I let myself feel it all without pushing it away. The sadness, the anger, the exhaustion of holding myself together for everyone else. Tears came quietly, not from weakness, but from honesty. I thought about all the times I stayed silent to keep the peace. All the nights I smiled so no one would worry. All the days I told myself I could survive just a little longer. Surviving wasn't living. At 12:01, I made a promise not to the world, but to myself. I wouldn't disappear again. I wouldn't carry everything alone. The year didn't change me. I chose to change. I didn't know how yet. I didn't have a plan. But for the first time in a long time, I believed something small but powerful. This year, I would choose myself. Morning light slipped through the curtains like it was afraid to wake me. For the first time in a long while, I didn't rush to reach for my phone. No scrolling. No comparing my life to everyone else's highlight reel. I sat up slowly and took a deep breath. It felt unfamiliar choosing stillness over noise. Choosing myself wasn't loud or dramatic. There were no fireworks. Just a quiet decision forming in my chest. I made my bed. I drank water. I opened the window and let cold air remind me that I was still here. For years, I had put everyone else first. Their comfort, their expectations, their version of who I should be. Somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that shrinking was kindness. It wasn't. That morning, I wrote down things I had been afraid to admit. I was tired of pretending. I was tired of surviving instead of living. I deserved care even from myself. I didn't suddenly become strong. I just stopped abandoning myself. I sent one message, then another. Not explanations. Boundaries. It felt uncomfortable. It felt necessary. Choosing myself didn't mean I stopped caring about others. It meant I finally cared enough about myself to stop disappearing. The world outside was the same, but something inside me had shifted. Not happiness, hope. And for the first time, that felt like enough to keep going. The world didn't change overnight. There were no applause, no messages congratulating me for choosing myself. Life went on busy, loud, indifferent. But I noticed something small and powerful. I was still here. Days passed, then weeks. The loneliness didn't disappear, but it softened. It no longer controlled every thought. Some mornings were still heavy. Some nights were still quiet. But the silence no longer felt empty, it felt peaceful. I started showing up again. Slowly. Carefully. Not to impress anyone. Not to prove anything. Just to exist. I said no without explaining. I rested without guilt. I let myself feel joy in small moments, a warm cup of coffee, sunlight on my face, laughter I didn't force. The new year didn't erase my pain. It gave me permission to stop carrying it alone. One evening, I caught my reflection in a store window. I looked tired but stronger. Not healed, not perfect, just present. That's when I understood something important. Starting over doesn't always mean starting loud. Sometimes it means staying honest, staying gentle with yourself, staying alive through days that once felt unbearable. Everyone else celebrated the new year with noise and fireworks. I celebrated mine quietly by choosing to remain. And maybe that was the bravest celebration of all.